Brad, what's up, bro?
What up, brother?
Here for the Tough anniversary party thing.
Yep.
I guess let's get this real quick. Like, can you believe that the show's still going on?
Crazy. 20 years it's been going, 33 seasons. It's a feat in itself, I would say.
All right, so last month and a half, you had some. Your name was in the headlines a little bit, and you kind of explained it on a podcast of everything that happened. But for everybody that I guess didn't watch that podcast, there was a thing on Twitter that said that you were removed from the roster.
Yes.
Everybody ran with that. You kept your mouth shut, didn't say nothing, and then you came out and said you're back in. What happened?
So on the last fight. That was the last fight of, I think, my previous contract, 6th fight or whatever it was. Usually I do renegotiate before, but truth be told, this is a business. I understand it. I know I'm getting older. I was coming off of, I think, 2 losses at the time. So it was one of those things where it was like, okay, we can renegotiate now, and either, I might not get a favorable contract, or I might not get a contract at all. Or we can fight out this fight. I can go out there, put on a show, perform, see how it goes, and then we'll talk from there. So I fought out of my contract, and which was crazy to me. I said it on the podcast. I was like, bro, the UFC, I don't know if it's AI or they got a department. Bro, they're on it. They're like, okay, you fought Saturday, Monday. Oh, no contract? Yeah, off the roster. They remove you. They do all of these things, take you out of the testing pool, all of that. And then anyway, so I was like, I already knew that Ali was talking with Mick and Dana and whatnot, and negotiations were going on. So it was one of those things where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna stay silent and we'll see how it goes. Because there was still a very, like I said, it's a business, I understand that. There was still a very good chance that they're like, you know what, like, thank you, but we're gonna move on. And fortunately for me, we decided, we worked out a contract, and I got a new contract, and here I am.
2 things with that. I guess you already knew that it was coming, but like when you saw you were on the roster, like was that a gut punch at all, or like did you already know, like, so like there was no reaction to it?
It is, I think, just the shock and awe of it, because I've been here for so long, is like seeing that, like, oh, okay, removed from roster or whatever. Then I was just like, oh, okay, so this is real, But again, like I said, I knew that we were in negotiations and talking, so it wasn't like
too crazy.
It's nothing that I really panicked about. I didn't freak out. I didn't, get worried. And me, I'm a religious guy, so I trust in God, and I know that whatever He had planned for me, it would be.
If you did not get a new contract, were you happy? Like, did you I did what I did, I had a great career, like, I'm over, or were you like, I'm one fight away from breaking that record?
No, definitely. It's one of those things, and I've talked about it with you before. I'm not the type of guy that really like focuses on that type of thing. I kind of wait. Like, a lot of times these type of things are brought to me fight week. The media will make me aware of it, like, oh, you're fighting for the most fights, or you're fighting for the most wins, whatnot. But I'm not gonna lie, to me that was a huge accomplishment in my life, to tie the middleweight win record with Michael Bisping. Bisping is a GOAT. So to be in that same conversation as him for that is huge to me. And 100%. After doing that, I definitely got my sights set on beating the record and holding that record for myself for the time being. So if they were like, hey, you know what, sorry, but we're not gonna renew your contract, of course I would have been bummed, a little bit heartbroken, just because, like I said,
right there.
Yeah, it's right there. And then on top of that, I spent a vast majority of my lifetime with this company, so it's definitely, even when it's done, like, I'm gonna take some adjusting. It's gonna take some getting used to.
Right. So I mean, with you being so close away from that record, and you still have to win and get that record, right? But what would that record mean to you after spending your entire fucking adult life in the UFC?
I think when I do get that record, it's just gonna be it's a way to cement my legacy, you know. It's something that, and I'm sure somebody will come along and break it, you know, like Bisping held on for it for a while, and then now here I am on the cusp of breaking it. But it's just something that, you know, I can look back at and say like, hey, yeah, like I got that, you know what I mean? So I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you're known for always being a fucking tough fighter, always being a tough out, always bringing it. But to have that little accolade next to your name,
yeah,
right?
Of
like,
course.
That's the special part, right?
Of course, yeah, 100%. Like I put years, and like we just been saying, a chunk of my life into this sport, into the company. So to get something like that, you know, like to have that asterisk next to your name, to have that record is, I think that'd be a great feeling.
And finally, with this, like, when are you trying to get back in there and break that record?
So funny enough, Ali had just asked me a little while ago. He was like, well, he asked me after this last fight, like, when are we thinking? And I was like, well, I'm injury free, so after we deal with the contract thing, like summertime, I'm thinking is great, you know, because I'm healthy. I didn't sustain any injuries against Mearshart. Let's just get back to work. And then after we got the whole contract situated, he reached out and was like, okay, so when you thinking of fighting? And I was like, bro, that New Orleans card looks good, you know, July, like that's perfect. And he's like, brother, that card has been full. So I was like, well, whatever then.
I guess kind of going off of that, like, you know, obviously you're on the back end of your career. You've said multiple times you don't mind fighting at the Apex because you live in Vegas. You probably live fucking 10 minutes away from the Apex, so it's nice. But would you like to kind of end your career fighting in front of arenas how you've done for your entire career?
100%. I've always, like, don't get me wrong, like I love fighting here in Vegas, my backyard now, you know, the 9th Island. I love it. But that being said, even in the past when they first started doing these COVID fights, I was asked, and I've always liked the energy from the crowd, regardless if it's for you or against you. There's just an energy there. There's an energy that the crowd brings, and I love that feeling. Like I soak it in, and I'm able to turn it into a positive for me. Even like I've gone to people's backyards and fought the hometown hero a bunch of times. I've got the boos, you know, and the fans have not always been in my corner, but that's the greatest opportunity to earn them, you know. And then once you go out there and you put on a good show, put on a good fight, and you earn the guys that were booing you now cheering you, like I think that's one of the greatest feelings in the world.
I mean, one of your last fights have to be in the T-Mobile Arena, right? I mean,
hey man, I'm hoping that before this is all said and done, they do an Allegiant Stadium fight, and I get to fight there. That would be a dream come true.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.